Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So today I wanted to show everyone my newest CGC 9.8 comic book purchase. I grabbed this one off of eBay. And there's kind of a small detail that really stands out about this book that I think makes it really special. And I did sort of break it down into 4 reasons why I purchased this one. And I left it to the 4th reason, that sort of small detail. So that is a really cool thing. But this book, it's a Marvel comic. It's a CGC 9.8. I do not have any CGC 9.8s in this sort of title. So yeah, it's a really sort of interesting one that I don't even think we've talked about on the channel either. So it should be a pretty new idea for most people, I think. Let's get right into it here, though. Talk about the census and the price for this CGC 9.8. Newest one I got is an Iron Man 219. This is the first appearance of Ghost. Yeah, check out this cover. I pretty much kind of fell in love with it and really went after this one when I saw it on an auction. Really a tough to find white cover. First appearance of Ghost, Iron Man 219. We'll have a look on the census here. There are 50 CGC 9.8s out there in the blue label, so kind of a 1 of 50 collector item. Is really cool. This one too is looking really good, very nicely centered. Lots of nice things to like about it, so I would say it's kind of a higher grade 9.8. Nice centering along the spine. Yeah, first appearance of Ghost. Look at the 9.8 ratio here really quick, actually. 21.4% is the 9.8 ratio, so of all graded copies, 21.4% of them are CGC 9.8s. For a 1987 book, that's not too bad. That's, especially considering there's not a lot of these graded. It's certainly like a cult-followed book, I would say. Only 50 CGC 9.8s. Usually big first appearances that are really well followed have certainly more than 100, and a lot of times more than 1,000. So a cult followed book, and usually the 9.8 ratios don't get that low because basically anyone that's sending this to CGC just took really good care of it and is a huge Ghost fan. That kind of makes sense. So, but not too bad for a 9.8 ratio there for a 1987 book. So let's talk about price, and then we'll get into those 4 reasons here. Talk about the price I paid for this comic book. It was in an auction, and it was from one of my more favorite sellers that I've purchased quite a few books for, and they're kind of located on the border, so they ship from Canada. So I got this book pretty quick too. Bought it about a week or 2 ago, whereas my US books have been taking at least a month. I purchased this one for $243.50. So right off the bat, I think that's going to go down as a slight overpay, to be honest. On GoCollect, they have this for $175. I think a couple months ago, there is a completed listing on eBay. I think it was around $170. But there was another completed listing on eBay that was $399.99. One had sold for, looking pretty good. So I would say that's kind of the top end of a fair market value, a pretty big overpay maybe. And there were a couple of best offer ones that I probably went sort of around the $200 range would be my guess. So, considering this one was looking really good, it was a nice scan of the book. I wanted to put in a competitive bid, and I thought there'd be some brave souls that would get up to around $250, but was kind of crossing my fingers and hoping there wouldn't. I bid around $265, and that ended up winning it. Obviously, $243.50 was the second highest bid. So, let's get into the 4 reasons why I purchased Iron Man 219, first appearance of Ghost. 1 of 50 in the CGC 9.8 out there. Yeah, just a cover I've been peeping since I got it here in the last day quite often. Great looking book. And we'll get into that small detail in the 4th here, in the 4th reason. Number 1, though, it's a great cover, but it's a tough white cover, too. Only 50 in the 9.8. Not a lot graded, but still a tough white cover. And, yeah, this has got potential to just be a pretty cool classic cover, I think. Definitely kind of tick that box in sort of the classic cover department. So second thing here, Ghost. They used the Ghost in like the Wasp movie or whatever, Ant-Man and Wasp movie, but it was like a female version of Ghost. And yeah, I think that I've heard some things that they were the community was maybe a bit disappointed that it wasn't just the normal Ghost, because certainly a lot of people like the Ghost. But, it was already in the MCU, so they already gave him a push, and or her a push, and maybe they'll continue with the female Ghost, but, if not, I think that's only positive if MCU continues to give it a push. But at the same time, it's still underfollowed. So, usually something that comes out in the MCU recently is pretty well known, and there's 200, 300, 400, 500 9.8s on the census. But yeah, pretty interesting one here, and I think it kind of fits in a good area where you could, you know, this is, yeah, it kind of is a really just good underfollowed villain, CGC 9.8 to get at with that kind of 1 in 50 out there. So solid on the census, hey? Yeah, I mean, kind of mentioned the 1 in 50 and a 21.4% CGC 9.8 ratio. There's a lot of 1987 books that are 30, 40%, you know. So that is a pretty decent rarity, I would say, for one that with not many graded to. And the fourth reason, okay, so something really special about this book. Mentioned kind of the centering's nice and everything, but I think this may be like the whitest pages I have ever saw. And certainly like an 80s book, but yeah, it's just, the pages are literally like white. Like the whiteness of like someone with the whitest teeth ever. It's like something you don't see on comic books. Even CGC 9.8 white pages comic books, because, you know, white pages just doesn't mean that every page is just going to be gleaming white. And I've made videos in the past saying like, hey, a 9.8, it's a good comic, but they're not perfect. Like, there are some weird things to them. And I find my whole 9.8 collection kind of varies in the white page department for sure, even though they're all 9.8 white pages. This one, though, may be the most white page book in my whole collection. Like, I was just staring at it when I first got it for, you know, a couple minutes for sure there. And another one, a book that I have that has amazing white pages and is just, I'm so lucky, is My Amazing Spider-Man 300 CGC 9.8. Just, that might have been my other book that had the best white pages until this. Yeah, so a really high grade 9.8 of Iron Man 219, I think I was able to pick up. So that's the fourth reason, that amazing white pages, and that kind of surprised me. It was a surprising reason, I would say, because didn't really know that, and you can't really tell on the scans too much. But this, yeah, a really high grade one, and that white pages just kind of took me off by surprise. So Iron Man 219, I think, is one to consider. Certainly, yeah, we got the thunderstorm coming in here. But I think Ghost is a great underfollowed villain. It's a great 9.8 to get. There's only 50 of them out there. And if you like villains like me, like, I'm a big villain, you know, Darth Vader villain guy, yeah, this first appearance of Ghost is one to consider. And it's still under the radar. Yeah, this is, you know, it was a bit of an opportunistic buy for me. I like to follow my favorite sellers that post a lot of new 9.8s all the time. They're doing really good jobs kind of getting new 9.8s on the market. And I'm pretty sure this is newly graded. And, yeah, it was just, I thought, a pretty great opportunity to go after me liking villains and all. And yeah, if you're in the same boat as me, I think this book does have a lot of potential. Yeah, it's just still underfollowed yet. Yeah, that potential, especially given the MCU, they already kind of used the character already, so they can definitely just run with that in another movie maybe. Okay, thank you very much for watching today. I'm really glad I could show you this one. Super excited. I've really got some great pride of ownership with this one in the last few days with the white pages and the great cover, and kind of really glad I kind of dived in and went after this one, because certainly I hadn't made any wanted list books about this one, and that's a great thing about the hobby sometimes, is something comes up that just captivates you for some reason, and you just have to have it. And this one, to boot, I think is a really good collector item. Yeah, like a 1 of 50 CGC 9.8, looking so good. For $243.50, that's pretty, I think, pretty great for me, considering so many books around like 500, 600, 700 right now in the CGC 9.8. Alright. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, I would invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Yeah, I'd love to have you on our comic book collecting and comic book investing team. Hit the bell for all the latest notifications for videos too. Add me on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, all the links in the description below for that. But yeah, that'll be it for this one. Yeah, so excited to have this one. Yeah, really glad I kind of took the plunge and pulled the trigger. Thank you very much for watching. Message me on Instagram as always if you have any questions. I'll see you on the next one.